Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23, text 46 and 47. What text is on the, what number is on 47? So I'll read 46 and then we'll chant 47. Evam yoganubhavena dampatya ramamanayo shatam dhyatiyu sharadha kamalalasayo manak. Translation. While the couple, this is Devahuti and Kardama, while the couple who eagerly long for sexual pleasure were thus enjoying themselves by virtue of mystic power, 100 autumns passed like a brief span of time. So today's text. That's 100 years. There's a saying in America, time flies when you're having fun. You have that saying here? You're having fun, you don't realize how the time is passing. So today's verse. Tasyam adatare tastam bhavayanat manatmavit bhavananat manatmavit Nodha vidaya rupam sang sarvasankalpa vidvibhu tasyam hadatare tastang bhavyan atmatmana bhavanyan atmana atmavit Avanyan atmana navid noda vidaya rupasham yarupam sam sarvasankalpa vidvibhu tasyam adhatare tastam bhavanyan atmanatmavid Dhodha vidaya rupangsham sarvasankalpa vidvibhu tasyam in her adhata he deposited ritaha semen tam, her, bhavyan, regarding, atmana, as half of himself, atmavit, a knower of spirit soul, nodha, into 9, vidhaya, having divided, rupam, body, sam, his own, sarva sankalpavit, the knower of all desires, vibhu, the powerful Kardama. The powerful Kardama Muni was the knower of everyone's heart, and he could grant whatever one desired. Knowing the spiritual soul, he regarded her as half of his body. Dividing himself into 9 forms, he impregnated Devahuti with 9 discharges of semen. Purport. Since Kardama Muni could understand that Devahuti wanted many children, at the first chance he begot 9 children at one time. He is described here as Vibhu, the most powerful master. By his yogic power, he could at once produce 9 daughters in the womb of Devahuti. So one time in Los Angeles, Prabhupada was describing household life. So he was saying, if you want to be happy, you want to make your wife happy, give her lots of children, lots of jewelry, lots of nice food, and nice clothes. Right? True? Any women deny this? Of course, we know ultimately, give her Krishna. And then Prabhupada said to the men, he said, but if you do this, to do all this, it's so much trouble you'll go to hell. It's so complicated. It takes so much effort to support a family, to satisfy the wife and children. So he was joking. He said, all your energy, your wife will be happy, but it will take all your energy to provide all these things. You'll be working day and night to provide the money to take care of the children, provide the nice food, the jewelry, the clothes. So he was joking like that. But here you see for Kardama, no problem. He built a mansion in the sky. Samasyane. Just there it is. Amazing. One time, or sometimes people would ask Srila Prabhupada, do you have any mystic power? Because people think if you have mystic power, then you're elevated. If you can do some magic, then you're elevated, and I'll become your disciple. So Prabhupada said, if I could pull a rascula out of my eyeball, what would be the great value? He said, but my mystic power is that I took Malechas, Yavanas, and I made them Vaishnavas. I turned them into Vaishnavas. That is my mystic power. You know this story? One man, he left his village. He spent many, many, many years learning mystic yoga. And he came back to his village and he demonstrated that he could walk on water. You know the story? Some man in the village said, you spent so many years studying, and I can, spent thousands of rupees, many, many years, to do some 2 paise thing. I can take a boat for 2 paise. Get the same result. You walk on water, I can take it. What's the point? What's the use? So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, how do you know who is a Vaishnava? You know because by his association, other people become Vaishnavas. Actually, it said, a Vaishnava is one who is always chanting the holy name. But the Uttama Vaishnava is one in whose presence everyone else will chant. Just by his presence, people will want to chant. So when Srila Prabhupada came to America, there was no movement, there was only him. He was the only Vaishnava in the West. And there was no mandir, not one mandir, and not one other Vaishnava other than him. Now, if somebody comes to the temple, you have the temple, you have the deities, you have prasadam, you have devotees, you have books, you have festivals. When Prabhupada came, he didn't have anything other than the Srimad Bhagavatam and himself. Now imagine you were asked to go open a temple in another country, and there are no devotees, and you're the only devotee. And all the people have to understand Krishna consciousness is you. That was Prabhupada's position. And that is the very reason people became devotees. Because of one person who had Krishna. And the one person who had Krishna turned other people into devotees. And that is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur said this. How do you know who is a Vaishnava? One by whose presence other people become devotees. That's the real, for us, that's the real mystic power. At the beginning of the movement, from the very, very beginning of the movement, Prabhupada stressed again and again and again giving Krishna consciousness to others. And one of the interesting things you find in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the process of giving Krishna consciousness to others is the famous verse, which you're probably familiar of, that Lord Chaitanya was eating the fruits of love of God, and he was also distributing the fruits. He was relishing the fruits and giving the fruits. This is really good. You want some? Here, you want some? Delicious. Here, take some. Here, you too. Like that. So, Prabhupada has said an interesting thing about spreading Krishna consciousness. He defined it as giving people a taste. That the service of one who wants to give Krishna consciousness to others is to give people a taste of Krishna. One time, actually many times, in a japa, when we have our japa workshops, we ask the devotees a question. When you're not chanting good japa, any morning when you don't chant good japa, how do you feel when you finish your rounds? Devotees say, I feel miserable. I feel unhappy, dukkhi. I feel depressed. I feel like I wasted 2 hours. I feel guilty. I feel discouraged. I feel angry with myself, etc., etc. And we write that on a board. We actually fill up a whole board of how bad we feel when we don't chant japa. Then I joke with the devotees. I say, Prabhus and Matajis, we decided to invite some people to the japa workshop to introduce them to chanting Hare Krishna and how the benefits you get and how nice it is. And we thought we'd bring them up in the room now, since they can read on the board what happens when you chant Hare Krishna. You feel depressed. You feel an anxiety, you feel discouraged, you feel guilty, you feel miserable, you feel unhappy. And then I say, if this is how we feel when we chant Hare Krishna, how are we going to inspire other people to chant Hare Krishna? Just like I gave the example the other day about rice that is burnt. And it's the feast, Sunday feast, and you're eating the burnt rice. You're probably not too excited. You're probably not too excited to encourage people to eat more of it, are you? But the Malpura, then you say, yes, this Malpura is good. You want more? You should take more. You're excited. So then we ask the devotees, how do you feel when you chant good rounds? Ecstatic, blissful, encouraged, enlivened, inspired. Say yes. And that is how you spread Krishna consciousness. So I think it's significant that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said Mahaprabhu didn't just distribute the fruits, but he was tasting them. Because if you taste them and they're good, you get excited, right? Let's say you're a fruit wala and you get the first crop of grapes. When do they come? December? March. I have to come back in March. Do a grape fast or something. Okay. So let's say you got a special crop. They're really, really sweet. The grapes in Italy, I was in Italy, the grapes there are so sweet. It's actually sweeter than sugar. And I was drinking, it was so sweet I was coughing. It made me cough. It's much, much sweeter than sugarcane. Anyway, so imagine you're eating these grapes, your first crop, and it's the best crop you've ever had. You'd be excited. Stop people on the street. These grapes, they're the best grapes I've ever grown. You've never tasted grapes like these. Try one, you have to taste it. Then they taste it. Oh my God, this is the best grapes. Give me all your grapes. I want as many as I can get, right? So that's the process of spreading Krishna consciousness. It's to taste it, and when you taste it, because it tastes good, you become inspired to give it. Does that make sense? Yes? If it doesn't taste good, you won't be inspired to give it. So, one of our important services, believe it or not, one of our important services is to taste Krishna consciousness. Because that is the foundation for the inspiration to give it to others. And as I said, right from the very beginning, Prabhupada stressed over and over and over and over the importance of bringing Krishna consciousness to others. From the very beginning, and we didn't even know much, and we were sent out on the street to tell other people about Krishna. Whatever we knew, we would tell them. And in the beginning, it wasn't a lot. We didn't know much. But right from the beginning, we were given that service to give other people Krishna. So this is an important service for all of us to be aware of, that one of our services is to relish Krishna consciousness. And then you'll say, but isn't that sense gratification? Mahatma Prabhu is telling us, relish Krishna consciousness. That sounds like personal desire, materially motivated service, sense gratification. I just want to serve Krishna, whether I go to heaven or I go to hell. Prabhus and Matajis, I have news for you. Even Thakur Haridas prayed to Lord Chaitanya to get a taste for the name. Even Thakur Haridas. Isn't that amazing? The Namacharya. He says, I don't care what happens to me, I can go anywhere, but please give me a taste. Taste is a symptom of advancement. Srila Prabhupada said, if we have a taste for Krishna, it will destroy all our material hankerings and attachments. A taste for Krishna has nothing absolutely to do with sense gratification. It is totally nothing to do with it. Sense gratification means these physical senses. You cannot get a taste for Krishna with these physical senses. Prabhupada gave an example once. I believe it was 1975 or 1976, at the Rath Yatra festival in San Francisco. I was there. The next morning after Rath Yatra, he was giving Srimad Bhagavatam class, and he was describing the material disease that we chant the holy name, but we have no taste because the senses are impure. And he gave an example, which is a very interesting example. He said, if you put tape on your tongue and then you eat, you cannot taste anything. If you don't believe me, try it. Try it. Get a big piece of tape, put it on your tongue, and take breakfast and see how it tastes. It will taste exactly like tape. Everything you eat will taste exactly like tape, because that's what's on your tongue. You're not actually tasting the food because the taste buds on your tongue are covered by the tape. Prabhupada said, similarly, when our senses are covered materially, we cannot taste Krishna. There's no ruchi. So, ruchi or taste is a symptom of purified senses. Impure senses can enjoy sense gratification. They can't enjoy Krishna. And purified senses can enjoy Krishna, and they can't enjoy sense gratification. When we have a taste, then sense gratification is no longer tasteful. Prabhupada tells a story. He had a friend who was trying to get him to go to the movies. And Prabhupada kept saying, I don't want to go. And his friend kept saying, go, come. I don't want to go. I have no taste. I have no attraction. So it's very, very important that we relish Krishna consciousness. We relish hearing. We relish chanting. We relish kirtan. We relish whatever our seva is. We were talking on Sunday about chanting and how sometimes we're chanting, we're not relishing, are we? We're suffering. Isn't it? Sometimes. You know, they could establish a program for criminals. Say, we're going to punish you. Here's your japa beads. You have to chant all day. That's your punishment. We have a camera on you. If you stop chanting, then we won't feed you. So that would be a punishment. Maybe they would get a taste sooner or later, but in the beginning it would be a punishment, right? Just chant, 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 chant. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta ran an ad in a newspaper. He said, anybody can come and live in the Gaudiya Math. We'll give you a place to live and we'll give you a prasadam. All you have to do is sit down and chant 64 rounds a day. And people came and tried and nobody could do it because there was no ruchi. You know, India's a poor country, very poor at that time. You think so many people could solve their economic problem and just come in the math and chant 64 rounds, and they couldn't do it. And Krishnadas Babaji, he can't stop chanting. They used to, Bhaktisiddhanta said, get him out to go preaching. He couldn't stop chanting. He just chant all day, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. No, he should preach, he should go out. He couldn't stop chanting, doing kirtan. When I first went to Vrindavan, it was 1975, we took a tour of Radha Damodar temple, and we went around the samadhis, or in the Radha Damodar temple, and you go in, to the left of the temple there are about 40 or 50 samadhis. And then you go around the back of the temple and you go into the courtyard where the samadhi and bhajan kutir of Rupa Goswami is. Before you come into the courtyard, there's a little area. I don't know if it's still now I don't know what they have there, but there was an area there. And the devotee who was taking us on tour said, this is where the Goswamis sat and had all their katha, all their discussions, in this spot right here. And then the devotee said, this was their highest service, because this is where they were churning the ocean of nectar, from which all their realizations, or not all their, but which their realizations and inspiration came to write their books and preach. So this is the process. We come together and we start churning the nectar, right? Churn it, churn it, churn it. Krishna Katha, Hari Katha, Kirtan, Japa, Seva, Puja. We're churning the nectar. This is what it means to associate. This is Sangha. We come together and we churn the nectar and we relish it. And then people come in our Sangha and they feel something special. I have a nice story. A group of students went to Vrindavan. They were photography students from a university in America, and their teacher was a devotee. So he arranged with the university, they would do, I guess you'd call it photojournalism in Vrindavan. So it was part of their class, they went to Vrindavan. So they're all non-devotees, they know nothing about Krishna. So the devotee who's the teacher, he arranged that they would go around to the different places in Vrindavan, see the holy places and learn about Vrindavan. These probably were all meat eaters, probably all Christians, probably none of them had any interest in anything Indian, Hinduism, Buddhism, or anything. So they went to all the different holy places. This one devotee took them, he explained things to them. So the last day, they met him to say goodbye. And they all had the same question. The devotee who took them was Gopal, the leader of the 24-hour kirtan. And they all had one question, a very interesting question. They really didn't understand what Vrindavan is. They are not devotees. They didn't really understand. But they had one interesting question. They said, Gopal, we all have the same question. And we don't know the answer. We can't figure it out. What is this feeling that we're getting in Vrindavan? We don't know what it is. We've never experienced it before. We can't explain it. What is it? That's how we spread Krishna consciousness, isn't it? What is this taste I'm getting from chanting? I don't get this taste from anything else. What is it? Explain it to me. I don't understand. I'm getting this taste and other things. I'm becoming disinterested in other things. What's happening? This is how we spread Krishna consciousness. If somebody gets a taste for Krishna, what starts to happen to their life? What happens? Their material life. What happens to their material life when they start getting a taste for Krishna consciousness? They start losing interest in the things that used to give them pleasure, right? And if you advance to a certain level of Krishna consciousness, then what happens is, even if you try to go back to those things and get pleasure, you can't get any anymore. Right? It doesn't work. We were talking, Pran Gauranga and I said, then the problem is, you're not really getting nectar from Krishna a lot, and you're not getting nectar from material life. You're like no nectar anywhere. Nirananda. My name is Nirananda Das. And I don't mean near like close, I mean near like none. I'm not Nirananda, I'm without Ananda. That's another problem. Maybe we save that for another class. But the solution, of course, is to taste nectar. And that is why on Sunday I was stressing so much the importance of good japa, because you'll taste nectar. One time a devotee, he said, Srila Prabhupada, we pray to Lord Jagannath, Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Bhava Tume. My dear Lord Jagannath, please be visible on the path of my eyes. Please be visible to me. So the devotee thought, we should not ask Krishna to be visible before us. That's not the right mentality. So he asked Prabhupada, is it wrong to sing this prayer? Oh Jagannatha Swami, please be visible, or please reveal yourself, show yourself to me. That's what it means, reveal yourself, show yourself. And Prabhupada said, if Krishna doesn't show himself to you, how can you go on in devotional service? There has to be some experience that he exists. I said on Sunday, Prabhupada said, when you chant Hare Krishna, you can feel Krishna. There has to be some experience if we're going to go on in bhakti. And that's why taste is important, because taste is a very powerful motivator, isn't it? Look how hard men work in this world. Why? Because there's a taste for success. There's a taste to provide for the family. Some people work really hard, don't they? You start your own business. You want to know what hard work is? Go start your own business. The only time you won't be working is when you're sleeping. If you can even find time to sleep, correct? Isn't it? When you start a business? You work every waking hour because it takes so much. Men will work so hard. There's some taste there to get ahead. So taste pulls us. And that's why taste for Krishna is so important, because it pulls us to Krishna. And that's why taste for Maya is so dangerous, because it pulls us towards Maya. Now just think about it. We are in a dangerous situation. Very dangerous. Why? Because for millions and millions of lifetimes we've been pulled by Maya. Right? Tik? It's true, right? Millions of lifetimes. And now in this lifetime we're trying to pull away. We're trying to change the program that's been programmed for millions of lifetimes. Did you ever notice sometimes it's hard to pull away from Maya? It seems like it's so natural to be in Maya and so unnatural to be in Krishna. It's like that story. They were talking about humility on a morning walk. And so Giriraj Swami said, but when you become humble, sometimes it becomes Maya because you become proud that you're humble. And Prabhupada said, sometimes it becomes Maya. He said, you're always in Maya. It doesn't become Maya. You're always in Maya. So that's like our constitutional position. And one time a devotee said, I fell into Maya. And Prabhupada said, you're always in Maya and sometimes you fall into Krishna. And then Prabhupada said, I don't know if this is a problem for Indians, but because India is becoming westernized, it's probably the same problem. He said, the problem with you Westerners is you're not afraid of Maya. You take devotional service casually, you play with Maya a little bit. I could think of an example. The doctor says, don't eat chocolate cake. And chocolate cake is your favorite preparation. It's your favorite food. You're addicted to it. But now you can't have it. So what you do is, you bake a chocolate cake so you could smell it. So you smell it. And it smells so good, you're like, oh my God, I gotta taste this. And you go, I'll just taste it, but I won't swallow it. So you take it and you chew it. You think you're gonna spit it out after you chew it? So to me, that's kind of like how we see Maya. I'll just hang around Maya, I'll smell it. Maybe I'll chew it, but I won't swallow it. Something like that, We're playing, so Prabhupada's saying, we're playing with fire and we're not afraid of it. And we keep getting burnt. Now, there's a really nice story. I don't know if you've heard this. One time, Prabhupada was having darshan with some of his leaders, and he said, what's the difference between me and you? You imagine you're sitting with Prabhupada, and he asked you that question? What's the difference between me and you? Well, Prabhupada, I'm a malecha, and you're a pure devotee. So they were saying things like that. Well, Prabhupada, you're a pure devotee, and we're not. And Prabhupada, you were born a Vaishnava, and we were born malechas. And Prabhupada, you always think of Krishna, and we never think of Krishna. Prabhupada said, no. The difference between me and you is you can fall down, but I can't fall down. So the next morning, Prabhupada greeted the deities, and his servant saw he was praying to Krishna. So after the morning program, in Prabhupada's room, the servant said, Prabhupada, I saw that you were praying to Krishna. What were you praying? Prabhupada said, I was praying that I don't fall into Maya. I said, but Prabhupada, last night you said, I can't fall into Maya. He said, yeah, this is why I can't fall into Maya, because I'm always praying that I don't fall into Maya. So, yesterday, a devotee wrote me, he had a big problem that's been going on for years, and he couldn't solve it. And I think this is the solution. Every day when we wake up, or every day when we go in front of the deities, we pray, please, don't let me fall into Maya. I am so weak. At any moment, my mind could become bewildered. Please don't let me fall into Maya. And then we're fulfilling Prabhupada's desire for us to be afraid of Maya. Because if we're praying not to fall into Maya, that would mean we're cautious, we're afraid. So, I think it's very good advice for all of us to follow Prabhupada's example. Any difficulty you have in devotional service, you pray, Krishna, please protect me. Please don't ever allow me to do this crazy thing that keeps entering my mind. And please help me do the right thing. And then, please give me ruchi. This is our aspiration, ruchi. Ado shraddha tatu sadhu sangha. Ado shraddha sadhu sangha bhajana kriya. Anartha nivritti. Nishta ruchi. It's the 6th level. And then you get rati, and then you get love of God. So it's only 2 stages away from love of God. Ruchi is a stage of advancement. And you know the interesting thing about ruchi, it comes after anartha nivritti. So that means when we have ruchi, basically, most of the anarthas are not problems for us anymore. So we all aspire for that, right? To get over anarthas, become nishta, and then when we stop playing with Maya, then we get ruchi, right? We have to decide what foot, we got 1 foot in Maya, 1 foot in Krishna. When we take the 1 foot out of Maya, put it on the Krishna boat, that's when we get ruchi. The anarthas are in the Maya boat, right? So we're 1 foot in Krishna, and then we're still fooling around with Maya, with the anarthas. Does that make sense? And that's why we don't get ruchi. We're eating the sweet rice, and we're taking some neem leaves and mixing them in. That's what anartha does to the taste. It's a neem leaf in the kheer. Have you ever put neem leaves in your kheer? In your halwa? In your laddu, burfi? Try it sometime. See how it tastes. It'll taste the same as your Krishna consciousness. Krishna is sweet. There's so many verses. Madhuram, Madhuram, Madhuram. Right? Krishna is sweet. His name is sweet. Everything about him is sweet. And then we take out our anartha neem leaves, mix them in, and we go, oh, this chanting, it's so boring. I don't like it. Right? We mix it all with our own anartha. And then we complain. I don't get any taste. I don't know what you're talking about. Isn't it? As one homeless person had come to the temple in America once, and he hadn't taken a bath in so long, he really smelled. He didn't change his clothes. He really smelled bad. Actually, he stunk so much that when he came into the temple room, it actually made the whole room stink. I don't know if you've ever had that experience of someone who hasn't bathed in a long time and hasn't changed their clothes. But it's like when you burn incense. The fragrance, it sticks to your clothes. It sticks to everything. So it was like this with a bad odor. And then he left the temple complaining that the temple smells. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I have no taste. This is Krishna. This is boring. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. What's boring, the name or you? Isn't it? It's not the name, it's us. We bring in the stench of material consciousness to bhakti, and that's what we smell, and we complain, oh, I'm not happy. It smells bad here. So these anarthas, they ruin everything. And the problem is, in material consciousness, we cultivate anarthas. That's why we maintain them. We take good care of them, don't we? Have a little, safe for all our anarthas. We keep them nicely locked up. Keep them in the secret place, our heart, this sacred place. We keep them there. We won't let anybody know what they are. We hide them from everybody. And in our dark and private moments, we go pull them out. And that's the very reason we're not experiencing ruchi. Because ruchi comes after anartha nivritti. And the 10th offense is to maintain material attachments, to maintain the anarthas, take good care of them. Why are we taking care of them? I have no idea. Anybody know why? Anyone have a good reason? Maybe we're thinking, well, if I leave Krishna consciousness, what am I going to do without all those anarthas? I won't be able to leave if I don't have them. So maybe I'll maintain them just in case. In case I decide, what if I want to be in Maya and there's no anarthas there? How do I do it? You need anarthas to be in Maya, right? What if I, want to go to America and enjoy, but there's no anarthas there? I won't be able to do it. I'll go to America, I'll try to enjoy it, and it won't work. I'll go to Disneyland and I'll just get bored. But if I keep the anarthas there, then when I go to Disneyland, I can enjoy it, right? Why do we keep these anarthas? That's all I can figure. They have some use for us. We think they'll make us happy. And why do we think they'll make us happy? Because the taste for Krishna is not strong enough. But when the taste for Krishna becomes strong enough, in comparison, there's no question that we'll think they'll make us happy. In comparison, we'll look at them and we'll say, this is the reason I don't have ruchi. This is the reason I'm not on the level of nishta. This is what's holding me back in devotional service. I don't want things that hold me back, right? Isn't it? No, none of us want anything that will keep us away from Krishna. But somehow or other, we maintain things that keep us away from Krishna. Isn't that crazy? If you think about it. We're chanting Hare Krishna, we're trying to come closer to Krishna, and then we're maintaining things that keep us locked out of Krishna's room. It's really so. This is Maya's business, and she's very good at this. She's expert. It's such a huge paradox because we maintain anarthas because we think they'll make us happy. Otherwise, we wouldn't, would we? Pride. Everyone wants a little honor, and some people want a lot of honor. But everybody wants some honor because honor makes us happy. Honor is a very high form of sense gratification. It's so high that people who are multi-billionaires, they don't need to work. They still work because they want to become famous. They could retire and have 1 million houses in 1 million countries, but they're still working hard because honor, it's even more gratifying than millions of rupees. Isn't it? So why do we maintain this anartha of honor? Because it gives pleasure. Why do we maintain the anartha of envy? Because we get something from it. Power. Right? I'm better. Why do we maintain kama? We get gratification. Gives us pleasure. We think it gives us pleasure. The paradox, the irony is that those very things that we maintain that we think give us pleasure are the very things that are preventing us from getting ruchi. Isn't that a paradox? The very thing you think will give you pleasure is the very thing that's preventing you from getting pleasure because it's an obstacle to ruchi. Anartha nivritti nishta ruchi. As long as we maintain anartha, we can't get the full ruchi. And then, when we're on that level, we get these kinds of questions in the japa workshop. Prabhu, I have a question. Yes. What do I do when I fall asleep during japa? And I say, Prabhu, have you ever fallen asleep taking prasadam? And they say, no. And I say, why? And they have to think, because I like to eat. Yes, because you like to eat. So why are you falling asleep during japa? I guess I don't like to chant. Yes, there's no ruchi. So the price we pay for maintaining anartha is no ruchi. That's a really big price to pay, isn't it? We're engaging in devotional service. If you take initiation, you make a vow, chant at least 16 rounds. It's going to take you a couple hours. And if we maintain anartha, that means that 2 hours every day is just a torture session. It's like walking into a torture chamber. You can, tell the Indian army, if they arrest any Pakistanis, put a gun in their head and say, chant Hare Krishna. This is Indian torture. So it's these anarthas, the very things we think will make us happy, are the very things that are the cause of our distress, and the things which prevent us from being happy. Isn't that interesting? The desire for fame, the desire to enjoy the opposite sex, the desire for power, wealth, prestige, the greed, the envy, all these things that we keep locked up deep in our heart, just in case we need them, just so we can turn to them to get a little juice. These are the things that are preventing ruchi. Mahanidhi Swami said something very interesting about ruchi. He said, when you get to the stage of ruchi, then you have no problems in bhakti anymore, because everything is now motivated by your taste. There's no more force. It's just easy. Before you get ruchi, it's like going up a hill. Where I grew up, we had hills, and one of the things we did as young boys is ride bikes. Practically all day we'd ride bikes. So we'd have to ride the bike up the hill, but it was worth it, because when you got to the top of the hill, you could ride down. And I lived by a really big hill. And we'd go about 35, well, that's 35, it was like 50 kilometers an hour on our bicycles, because the hill was so long. So it was worth riding up that hill. Sadhana bhakti, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. To get up 4 in the morning, Hare Krishna. Turn the alarm off. It's all like that. But when you get to the top of the hill, it's just nectar. So he was saying ruchi is like being at the top of the hill. And then bhakti becomes effortless, because it's all taste. And there's no nartas there. There's no, at least big ones, that are getting in the way anymore. And you're just motivated by taste. So when you look at it that way, it's like, let's get to ruchi as soon as we can. The sooner the better, the faster, because once we get there, it's going to be easy. And once we get there, we're going to be relishing Krishna consciousness like anything. Plus, it's going to be so much easier to give other people Krishna consciousness, because we're going to be telling them, this is nectar. Krishna consciousness is nectar. It's ecstatic. I'm so happy. And they're going to look at you and go, oh my God, I want that. Right? But if you're cultivating anarthas, you'll tell people, chant Hare Krishna, become happy like me. And they're going to look at you and say, you're not happy. I'm just going to maintain my material life. You're miserable. You're chanting Hare Krishna and falling asleep. The parents say, Mahatma Prabhu, how can I get my kids to be inspired to chant Hare Krishna? I say, don't fall asleep at home while you're chanting Hare Krishna, because that's not going to inspire them. The parents are wondering, how am I going to inspire my kids? The answer is obvious. Be inspired by your chanting, and they'll see that. You're chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. What nectar, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And your kids see that, and they're like, wow, that's amazing. I have to do that. But you're at home chanting like, and your kids are saying, I'm never going to chant. That's so boring. My father chants. He's so boring. I'm not going to chant japa. So there's a joke, and the son comes up to the father and says, what do you call the father in India? You have a name? Papa? Papa, sinful, right? Hey, Papa. Mahapap. Hey, Mahapap. Hey, you sinful rascal, Papa. So he says, My daughter calls me Dada. So Dada, Daddy. The son says, is your Bhagavad Gita different than Mama's? He says, what are you talking about? He says, is your Bhagavad Gita different than Mama's? He says, it's the same Bhagavad Gita. What are you talking about? How could it be different? He said, well, I always see Mama reading her Bhagavad Gita, but I never see you reading your Bhagavad Gita. So I thought maybe your Bhagavad Gita is not as interesting as her Bhagavad Gita, that yours is different than hers. So the same thing. You're chanting Hare Krishna, you're bored, you fall asleep, and you're asking the stupid question, how can I inspire my kids to chant japa? So it's the same way with preaching, right? So our service, it's a really interesting meditation. If you actually think about it, our service to humanity is to overcome our anarthas. Because if we overcome our anarthas, then we're in the best situation to give people Krishna. Because when you do that, people who you associate with at work, in the world, whatever, they're going to notice you're different. They're going to say, something's different about you. You don't get upset when everybody gets upset. Things don't bother you. You always seem so peaceful and calm. You don't seem to worry. They're going to feel that because you're anartha nivritti. You're not on this anartha platform. And they're going to say, what do you do? And you'll say, I chant Hare Krishna. That's going to really good advertisement, don't you think, for chanting? You are an advertisement. Gandhi said, my life is my message. And then I thought about that, and I said, well, everybody's life is their message. When you show up, you have a message. You don't have to say anything, but you have a message. You imagine what it was like to be with Prabhupada? That was a big message. People always say, what was it like to be with Prabhupada? Because we know when you associate with the sadhu, that's a powerful experience, right? So, your life is your message. What's your message? We all have a message. We all carry a message wherever we go. What's our message? Is our message, keep one foot in the Maya boat and one foot in the Krishna boat, just in case things get rough and you need to bail out of Krishna? Is that our message? If that's our message, how do we spread Krishna consciousness? But if our message is bliss, Krishna consciousness makes you happy. Maya doesn't make you happy. If that's the message our life carries, even without speaking, people will understand that. So our service to the world is to overcome our anarthas, because then we become powerful. Which brings us back to the first point I made, where Prabhupada said, what is your mystic power? My mystic power is that I made mlechas into devotees. So this is our real mystic power, isn't it? To turn others into devotees. That's our mystic power. And we can't do it unless we become devotees. We have to decide what boat you want to be in. Right? So we can end here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. So, do you have any question? Yes. I can repeat the question. Yes. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thanks for the wonderful lecture. You were discussing in the lecture about that nectarless zone. Like, once you come to that stage when you don't have any taste of Krishna, as well as when you are going back, you are completely detached. So, in that case, what particularly happens, that what I have experienced, that as I am not having it, because it is the symptom of my soul to enjoy or to get that bliss.
Yes.
So if I am not developing that interest completely, I am running back towards Maya. And I am not getting the taste either. So that situation becomes very frustrating.
Yes.
And because of that, our bhakti gets hampered. So I just wanted to know if there is some solution.
What to do. So he's asking, when you're in this situation where you don't really have a taste for Krishna and you're trying to give up Maya, but actually there's more taste for Maya than Krishna, right? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not getting the taste in the Maya either. So it becomes frustrating.
Oh yeah, there's no taste. He's eating and there's tape on your tongue.
Yeah.
No taste, okay. Well, there's a couple things to understand. One thing, Prabhupada described this. He said, in the beginning, when you chant, there won't be a taste. So you're simply going on your determination, that you understand this is the right thing to do, and out of your determination you do it. And I think what's really important in this situation is we always have to keep focused on our goal, because the goal is going to give us the taste. Maybe I'm not tasting it now, but I look at the goal and I know this is what I want. And so I always keep focused on the goal because that's my inspiration. And if I lose sight of the goal, that's when the problems come. One devotee said there's a saying that obstacles are those things you see when you lose sight of the goal. And there's a saying, a man is judged by his ideals. We're not judged by where we are now as much as we're judged by what are our ideals. Where do we want to go in life? What are we looking to go? Where are we looking to go towards? So that's very important in devotional service. Where you are doesn't matter so much. It's where you're going, that's what matters. And you're only going to go in the direction you're looking and where you're planning to go. There's this Chinese saying, if you don't know where you're going, you're going to end up there. So if you look at somebody's life and it's not very well directed, they ended up nowhere because they were going nowhere. You know, it's like sometimes you buy a new car. So what do you do when you get the new car? You just go driving. Where are you going? Nowhere. You're just driving the new car. You don't have a destination, right? Everybody gets in the car and you go driving. Wherever, right? Just somewhere to drive in the new car. So many people's lives are like that. They're just going. Where are they going? Who knows? They're just driving. So Krishna consciousness, we have goals. What is our goal? To become pure devotee. So we keep these goals in mind. And then if you make the goal more specific, what kind of pure devotee? I'd like to be a devotee like Prabhupada or like my spiritual master. Or I'd like to develop humility or tolerance. So you keep these goals in mind. And this is what inspires us. This is what motivates us. And then this is where we go. We'll gravitate towards our goal. And that will give us some taste. Because the taste is in the goal. Right?
Like you mentioned now, so, but for the motivation purpose to go towards that goal, can you elaborate some motivators for that? Like, how can we motivate ourselves to run towards that goal?
The motivation to go to the goal is that the goal has to be motivating. You have to have a goal that really, if you have a goal that's not motivating, you need to change your goal. Now, within, you might say, well, love of Krishna, it's so big and vast and it seems so difficult, maybe I'm not so motivated. But you have to find something within Krishna consciousness that motivates you. Maybe it's just the idea that I'm so motivated by the idea that if I get to this stage, my anarthas will be gone, because these anarthas are driving me crazy. And that in itself could be such a huge motivation. Or you see some advanced devotee, and you see how they're free from anarthas, And you're so attracted to being like that. You say, if I could just be like that, that is the goal of my life. I'm so motivated to want to be like this devotee. So your goal within Krishna consciousness, which is a very broad goal, can be more specific. And then it should be something that's so motivating that even when times are difficult, the goal is so attractive to you, nothing's going to stop you, right? That's what happens materially, right? You all worked very hard, you went to school, and then you got jobs and you worked your way up because you were motivated, because that's what you wanted. So you were willing to tolerate so many austerities. So every one of us needs to find something in Krishna consciousness that inspires us to get up every morning when the alarm goes off and we don't say, "Oh my God, another day." We say, "Oh God, thank you, another day." You know. So goals are very important. Inspiring goals are very important. Yes. Someone else had a question? Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. Today's a very nice class. So I have one question about relationship. So I heard
Question about
relationship.
relationships.
So every relationship demands sacrifice. What is sacrifice about two persons' relationship? So please explain.
Does it? Is that the question? Does every relationship require sacrifice?
Yes.
Yes. Explain it. Compromise. And understanding another person's perspective, point of view, and synergy, bringing two people together, trying to create something better than what you could create individually. That's the goal of relationship. Bring two people together and get a result that's bigger than both of them. Bring two people together, and the wrong relationship, the result is worse than both of them. Right? So we compromise, we work, we try to understand how we can produce a better result by coming together. Like if you and another brahmachari are just competing to try to outdo one another out of envy or jealousy, then you're really bringing one another down. But if you're coming together to see how you both can serve Krishna better, then you're bringing one another up. So you may want to outdo him, but your intelligence says it's better we work together. That one president of the United States, he said, you can do anything as long as you don't care who gets the credit for it. Like a team can do anything. Like in this temple, practically, we could come up with any vision, any massive vision, and we could eventually accomplish it as long as nobody is attached to getting the credit. As long as nobody cares who gets the credit. So that's a relationship where the end result is bigger than the individual. So yeah, does it require sacrifice? We may have to sacrifice our ego. And someone else may have to get the credit. I joke with the devotees. I have a workshop on humility, and I say, let's say you were the #1 book distributor during the Christmas Marathon. And after the marathon, we had a festival to honor everyone. But they honored all the book distributors, but they forgot to honor you. And you were #1. Would that upset you? You'd be really upset, wouldn't you? Right? But if we were completely Krishna conscious, we would be happy that we didn't get honored. And we would be happy that we honored the others, right? Thank God, I was so embarrassed they didn't honor me. I feel so horrible when they honor me. And I got to honor the others. So that's what we're dealing with, We'll make a sacrifice for the good of the mission. And we might have to sacrifice our ego. Maybe let someone else do a job. Maybe it's better he does it, even though maybe he'll do it worse than you. But it might be better overall that he does it. Because he really wants to do it, and if he doesn't do it, he'll create problems for others or something. Yes. Okay.
So, Hare Krishna. Sometimes while doing the chanting, sometimes it happens in between, maybe after 5 rounds, after 7 rounds, matlab in brain from the heart.
Yes.
Both the things comes in a just like a fire.
Yes.
So, Prabhuji, that time what to do? Shall we stop for some time and we should keep it continue?
Oh, very good question. She's asking, sometimes you're chanting and you come to a point where it's just, you can't focus anymore. And you've lost the connection with the heart. Should you just stop until you can get in the right consciousness? Or should you continue? I would say, number one, if at all possible, don't continue chanting like that. So I would say the two choices are try to readjust, say some mantra like, I love to chant, I get to chant. I have japa affirmations, like 15 affirmations that I give to devotees. I relish every round, I love to chant, chanting is my relationship with the holy name. Things like that to bring us back in the right consciousness. But I would say sometimes if you're really in a bad consciousness and you really can't focus, if you have opportunity to chant another time a day when you'll think you'll be in better consciousness, then I would do that, because basically you're just going to be committing aparad. Now, not everybody has the luxury of doing that. Sometimes that's the only time you have. If that's the only time you have, you might want to stop and read something, pray, Krishna, please help me, I'm not able to focus. Something to, it's very important, and it's a very good question. Because I think most of us don't do that. When we get splayed out, we just keep chanting. And we're not at all focused. And that's not good. Because as we said Sunday, it's not somehow or other get your rounds done. It's somehow or other chant good rounds, not somehow or other just chant. So what you say happens for devotees when they're more concerned about improving their japa. They will try to avoid chanting in situations or in a frame of consciousness where they're just going to commit offenses. So yes. Do something or chant later. Yes, you had a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Jai.
Thank you for the nice lecture and
You're
all
welcome.
these days of giving us guidance. My question is regarding grahasthas mostly. Is most of us as grahasthas, we play a double role. We try to come here in the temple and try to be pure, try to become pure devotees, or try to concentrate or pretend to become pure devotees. But the outside world, as you just now said, that Maya is everywhere.
Yes.
And how does one detach from Maya to be in a better position with Krishna consciousness? Because most of us, we are just hanging in between.
Yes.
How do we come out of it?
I think he's asking, the material world is so contaminated and Maya is so attractive, and it's difficult to just give it up, even if you try. I think one of the most important things is that we must believe that we can be Krishna conscious anywhere, in any situation. That's fundamental. Because I think what happens is, when we deal with Maya and it's very difficult, we tell ourselves, I can be Krishna conscious at home, I can be Krishna conscious at the temple, I can be Krishna conscious with the devotees. But out here, dealing with this world and all the things I have to deal with, I can't be. A lot of people have that experience. A lot of devotees have told me, I can't be Krishna conscious at work because of the situation. And I think the problem is when we say that, then we are making that a reality. Like that reality is now fixed. If I say, I can't be Krishna conscious at work, or some grihastas might say, I can't even be Krishna conscious at home. Sometimes they say that. Then we're reinforcing that reality. I think it's better to ask ourselves a question: how can I be Krishna conscious? At home, how can I be Krishna conscious at work? How can I be Krishna conscious in the world? And that can change everything, that one question. And I think the reason many of us maybe don't ask that question is because we don't think we can. Because our experience is telling us we can't. We haven't figured out how to do it. And all we're saying is, Maya is very strong. I'm okay at home, I'm okay at the temple, but out there I'm not. So let's ask the question, how? Now in one letter, Prabhupada wrote to a devotee who wanted to take sannyas. Now, the only problem was he had a wife and a 1-year-old child. So it wasn't the right time to take sannyas. And in his letter, he was telling Prabhupada, I can't be Krishna conscious in this situation, the wife and the kid and so on. So Prabhupada said something very powerful in the letter. He said, the problem with the neophyte devotee is they think, how did he say it? They think the situation is the cause of the problem. They think the external circumstance is the cause of the problem. But as we said last night, when the beautiful bhaktin comes in and the devotee says she's lusty, the lust is not in her, but it's in him. So the problem is always within us. So I think that's where we need to start. I'm not minimizing your struggle. I'm not minimizing the point that Maya is strong. I'm just making the point there are ways we can deal with it, but we have to start from that point that we can deal with it. From that point, what happens? And this is how Krishna consciousness works. From the point of a devotee making some kind of determination that I will not be in Maya outside of my home in the temple. Krishna, and how can I do that? Krishna starts to give intelligence how to do that. Because a lot of it is just simply seeing things differently. It's just, I have to change the way I see things. And I have to see, how can I be a devotee in every situation? And then Krishna may reveal to you that the situation you're in is actually very good because it's so difficult to be Krishna conscious in this situation that if you can figure out how to do it, you're going to become very, very strong devotee. So it's actually a really good... So Krishna might reveal to you, this is a wonderful opportunity because I have to tolerate so much. If I can learn to tolerate it, I'll make tons of advancement in devotional service. So it's another way of seeing the same thing. A very important lesson I learned. Sri Radha Madan Gopal ki jai. Important lesson I learned is that when something happens to you that's upsetting or difficult, you ask yourself this question, what else could this mean? In other words, like you might say, work, it's just Maya. I go there and it's Maya, I have to deal with materialistic people. And then ask yourself, what else could it mean? Is it just Maya? Or then you might think, no. What else it could mean is it's a test. Right? Could mean that, right? Krishna's testing. What is he testing? Testing many things. And then you could go to work and think, what an opportunity Krishna has given me to become Krishna conscious in this situation, because there's no Krishna consciousness here, and I have to manifest so much Krishna consciousness. I have to change my attitude. So that's, what else could it mean aside from it's just Maya? It could mean that. But my main point is, when we as devotees set a goal or an intention, then Krishna begins to give the intelligence to be able to fulfill that goal. So if my goal is not, oh, at work it's just Maya, so I surrender to it, but my goal is how to be Krishna conscious at work, then Krishna starts to give intelligence. In fact, I wrote a whole article about this. In Back to Godhead about a year ago, the article I think exactly 1 year ago, September or October issue of the Indian English version of Back to Godhead, and also the American version, it came out, and it was called Turning Your Workplace into Vaikuntha. And I wrote the article in response to a person who said, I can't be Krishna conscious at work. And I said, well, what about you go to work and you pray for everybody at work? You get there every morning and you say, Krishna, somehow or other, help these people. Krishna, please, somehow or other, give me an opportunity to somehow or other inject Krishna consciousness. It's like that. So that's a pretty interesting thing to do, isn't it? Praying for people at work. What about putting some shloka, a new shloka in a frame on your desk every day, and people will look at it? And somebody's going to ask you something, or something Prabhupada said, or something your guru said. You start thinking, what about bringing prasadam once a week? You start thinking, what could I do to be more Krishna conscious at work? What about my behavior? What about dealing with people more humbly? Okay, I'm the boss, but what about being the servant leader instead of a proud commanding leader? What about being in the bhav of a devotee? I'm just a servant. You start to think how you can alter your activities and alter your consciousness, and then Krishna shows you. And that's why I made the point. The problem is thinking we can't, because as soon as we think we can't, then all options are gone. So I think I actually had this experience in my own life. I joined ISKCON in 1969, and basically I just was either a temple president, a temple devotee, preacher, Sankirtan devotee. And then I was living in Vrindavan with my wife, and we really never had much money. We didn't have anything, basically. And she said, I want to raise a family. So we moved back to America. She said, let's raise a family. So you need a house, you need a car, you need so many things we didn't have. So then we started a business. And so this was after I'd been a devotee 30 years, and I had no contact with the outside world. And now I started a business and it was full contact. So maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years, I was like the question you asked. It's just Maya. You do this, you'll be in Maya. It's just the nature of it. And then I got very inspired to preach Krishna consciousness. No, actually what happened is, I don't remember the details of exactly what happened, but I had studied a lot about human psychology and self-development, and I realized that I was allowing that situation to get to me, and I was not taking control of it. And as soon as I decided to take control of it and decided to be Krishna, that I want to be Krishna conscious and I can be Krishna conscious in this situation, and started thinking how, everything changed. And then I realized, because the situation was so difficult, I actually became a stronger and better devotee than I would have if I would have just taken sannyas, because I had to undergo some extremely difficult situations. I would travel alone for days and weeks sometimes, and be engaged entirely with non-devotees, mostly women, and no preaching, no Krishna consciousness. Not an ideal situation at all. And some of those times were the most Krishna conscious times I had, because it was either sink or swim. I had to stay above water. I had to figure out how to stay above water. So I became very strong. And I had to learn how to think differently. And I learned new ways of thinking that have helped me tremendously to be in situations that aren't conducive to Krishna conscious, but be Krishna conscious. So that was my personal experience. So in that sense, when we're in difficult situations, we can say, opportunity. This is an opportunity to go up. Just like in our forgiveness course, I tell everybody, if somebody hurt you, it's an opportunity, because you're going to need to learn to forgive. And to forgive, you have to go. Resentment is like a low level, and forgiveness is a high level. So now you're actually fortunate that you've been hurt, because to overcome your hurt, you're going to have to come way up here. And then when you take the course and you come up here, you realize, what a blessing that I was hurt, because now I've learned to forgive, and I'm so much in a better state of consciousness after I've forgiven. And if nobody hurt me, then I wouldn't learn to forgive. So the hurt is an opportunity to learn to become better. That's my experience of the forgiveness process, personally, and teaching it. It transformed me. I don't really get upset anymore if people don't treat me well, because it's just, I'm not on that level anymore. But I used to get upset a lot. People didn't thank me for something. I was like, for days I'd be upset. I did so much, I didn't even say thank you. But I'm not there now anymore. Because I was hurt, I came up here, and it's a better place to be. So if you can be Krishna conscious out there, where you're not even dealing with Krishna, then you can be Krishna conscious anywhere. Right? A lot of what happens, I've noticed, when we don't learn this, I've noticed what happens, especially in America. Devotees go to India, they go to Vrindavan, they come back to America, and they say they were really inspired for 3 weeks, and after that, it's just status quo. They just went to India like this, went to Vrindavan like this, came back to America, and kind of went back. And I thought, we want to figure out how to stay up here. That's really the goal. And some things down here need to be adjusted, and then we'll stay up here. And I think this is one of them, being able to be Krishna conscious in any situation. Krishna, help me see. I have to see it differently, right? Just like women are attractive to men, you could ask the same question. How do you deal with that attraction? You ask Krishna to help you. And when Krishna helps you, you see women as mother. You see them respectfully. You want to help them. And if you're an ordinary man, you just think about how you can enjoy them. It's so Krishna helps you alter your mentality, that your mentality lines up with Krishna consciousness. But what happens for many of us is we want Krishna consciousness, but our mentality is working against it. I'm seeing the woman as an object of my gratification, and I'm complaining that women are attractive. One devotee asked Prabhupada, he said, why are women so attractive? And Prabhupada said, because you want to enjoy them. So, you're complaining that they're attractive, but the reason they're attractive is because we want to enjoy them. Why is anything in this world attractive? Because we want to enjoy it. Right? When you're Krishna conscious, it's not attractive. So it's like we're in one frame of consciousness, and the consciousness is creating the problem, and then we're trying to figure out how to deal with the problem, but we can't because our consciousness is reinforcing the problem. Like I was saying last night, people pray to God to solve the problems that they created by not following Him. So a lot of times what you'll find in your life, who you are and how you're thinking, is going against all the things you want in Krishna consciousness. And you're trying to figure out, why am I not Krishna conscious? Because your being, your thinking, your attitudes are going against. You see women as an object of your enjoyment, and you're asking, why are they so attractive? Because of the way you're thinking. You're not seeing mother. Does that make sense? So, a lot of times, who we are gets in the way of what we want to achieve. We're being the wrong person. We want to achieve this goal, but we're being somebody else. We're being materialistic, envy, greedy, and we want to be sadhu. And it's not happening. So I think with the right attitudes out there, you can be very Krishna conscious. This is my experience. It's very easy not to be. I'll grant that. Very easy not to be. But also, you can be incredibly Krishna conscious out there in the most un-Krishna conscious situations. Because you can always think in a Krishna conscious way. Any other question? Yes. We have a microphone for the ladies? This topic that he was asking, we're doing a seminar in Bangalore, and this is going to be one of the topics. And it's a very important topic. If you look at your life and think, what do I want to achieve? And start thinking, how do I think? What are my attitudes? What are my beliefs? Are they helping me achieve what I want to achieve? Or are they actually getting in the way of what I want to achieve? And then you'll find in your life, there are many things that we believe and think and feel and attitudes we have that are actually getting in the way of being Krishna conscious. And we don't even know it. And it takes actually, more time takes hours to actually go through it. And we have exercises that show you exactly where you're off. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Again, my question is regarding your balance between Krishna consciousness and workplace.
Okay.
Now, what happens after coming to Krishna consciousness? I experience that I've lost interest in, some new projects.
Yes.
Or, and their expectations are always before.
Yes.
So they expect to do more and, put some initiatives. Wherein
Right.
sometimes I just do what is required.
Right.
Sometimes I get attracted that, they expect so much and they think that I have a skill, that soft ego comes in, that maybe, they think I can do, then I must prove myself and do it.
Right.
And then sometimes again I feel that what if I, not following then it properly, it will
Right.
distract me. So shall I take up the new task, or how should one progress at the workplace also, and how is that?
Yeah.
I'm so
That's
confused about this.
It's a very good question. Very good question. And it's a very common thing. When people take up Krishna consciousness, there's material things are not that interesting, are they? It gets worse. Some people don't even want to work. You're just like, working still. But some people, look at the brahmacharis, they just dropped out of everything, right? Sometimes it comes to that point. But if we must work, then the attitude of the devotee is just dharma. It's total dharma, that it's like the Pandavas, Krishna wanted them to fight, and they weren't into fighting. Well, some of the Pandavas were, but Arjuna wasn't. Yudhishthira wasn't really into it. But Arjuna really fought well, very valiantly, because he did it as dharma. Not because he wanted to kill them or he wanted a kingdom. He was, detached from that. But because Krishna wanted it, so he did it. So I think the best attitude for us is that everything we do, we should excel in. We should just do it really, really well. That should be kind of our relationship with our work and with Krishna, that everything we do, everything in our life should be successful. A lot of times what happens is, and this is answering your question, but it won't seem like it is initially, but it will. Sometimes you'll find a devotee in one aspect of their life, they're very successful. In one aspect of their life, they're not. For some, materially they're very successful, but spiritually they're not. For some, spiritually they're very successful, materially they're not. For some, materially they're successful, spiritually they're successful, and their family's a mess. Right? So really what we want to do is be successful everywhere. That's the ideal. Like whatever you do, be successful. And it's not about your ego. It's about dharma. So, like if you're married, have wonderful marriage, have wonderful Krishna conscious children, family. If you work, be super successful. If you're successful, they'll keep putting you up, 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 up. 10, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, you could be top in the company. You know what's going to happen then? You're going to have a lot of influence on people. You'll be able to make people Krishna conscious, And your style of doing things and your Krishna conscious attitudes can infect the culture of that company. You say, well, she does it. How did you succeed? Because I think like this. Because I'm detached from the result. I just work out of dharma, and therefore I was successful. And they go, maybe we should incorporate that into our culture. Will you help us? And then you start teaching. Yeah, well, Krishna says in the Gita this, Dharma is higher than result. If you do the Dharma, you'll get a better result. And so we should be successful as husbands and wives, as fathers and mothers, as disciples, as servants, in our occupation, whatever we do, because that's what Krishna wants. And then Krishna will utilize us as success. Whatever you do it expertly, and Krishna will utilize you more and more. You'll be surprised, if you do that. Who knows, They might ask you to give a talk for the whole company someday because you're so successful. And you'll talk about Dharma. You'll talk about the Gita. Say, why am I successful? It's because I follow the Gita. The Gita says, detachment, Dharma. It's because of my sadhana every morning. All of you should be meditating every morning. You should connect with God. That's what will keep you sane in your life and work here when it gets crazy. That's what I do. So be successful. People will look up to you. How are you successful? Because I chant Hare Krishna, I read Bhagavad Gita. Prabhus, we're preaching. If our family lives are a total mess, it's not good preaching, is it? People say, I'm not going to become like you. Your wife's unhappy. Your husband's unhappy. Right? You become devotee. Where do you live? I live on a shack on the street. What happened? You were a millionaire. Yeah, well, I lost interest. No one's going to become a devotee if they see that your material life fell apart. So be successful everywhere. And don't convince yourself that to be successful in one area, I have to fail in another area. It's not true. That, like you were saying, it's so hard to be in Maya. And I was saying, don't think like that, because if you think like that, it makes it harder. So the same way, if you think I can only be successful in Krishna but not in my work, then it makes it hard for you to be successful at your work because you believe you can't, and you're only going to act based on what you believe. So if you believe you can and you do your dharma, then you can be thinking, Krishna, I'm doing this because this is the right thing. Yes? Is this recorded? Yeah, okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Jai, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Yeah, we are talking about the consciousness regarding the Krishna.
Talking about
We are talking about Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
In Bhagavad Gita, when Arjun asks Krishna to show the world who is Krishna, so Krishna shown him the Virat Darshan.
Yes.
Okay? So, as per the Bhagavad Gita knowledge, the Krishna is in every situation. He is in every molecule. From my personal point of view, I am dealing with a lot of situations last 2 months. I have lost so many things, like the relations of mother and father, relation with the wife, relation with society, only because of the material kind of factor. Because my body, that is a physical body, material body, this body requires so many things from the world. Krishna requires the bhav, bhakti. As I said yesterday, we are a part of Krishna. We are a part of Krishna, but we are not apart from Krishna. So I am dealing with two different situations. In between there is one mirror or maybe something. This situation is demanding so many things. And this situation where I myself feel that I am not apart from Krishna. So I am little bit confused. So deal with this or that, or to break the mirror image. So this is my question.
Deal with both.
Yeah.
The reason is because one affects the other.
Yeah.
Because
There's action and reactions.
If we don't take care of things materially, properly, then it's going to have a negative impact on our spiritual life. So the principle is, in Krishna consciousness, do whatever is favorable for bhakti, for advancement, and then reject whatever is not favorable. That's the principle. So sometimes you can look at a situation, let's say like family situation, and maybe your parents are not so happy that you're doing bhakti. And then you realize that this is going to be a disturbance for you. And so you do something in some way to pacify them, to amend the situation, to make it more peaceful, because that will enable you to more freely and peacefully do your devotional service. And if you don't do that, constantly, you're going to have a problem there. Obviously, if we don't work, we're going to have problems because we won't be able to live. So we adjust our material life in a way that supports our spiritual practice. And then there's no difference. Then it's just one thing, right? Because you see the connection between what you have to deal with on the material level and what you have to deal with on the spiritual level. Just like you take care of your health, because if you're not healthy, it's going to affect your bhakti. You won't be able to get up in the morning. You won't be able to concentrate because your body's in pain, like that. And everybody knows that. That's not confusing. We know. If the body is not healthy, we can't do devotional service, or it limits it. So you just apply that same principle to anything material and see how it is affecting you. Sometimes you may have to spend more time working on something material, because if you don't, then later on it's going to affect your spiritual, and it's going to be a big problem for you. So if you see that, then you can deal with it without thinking, why am I spending time doing this? Because now you'll understand, I'm spending time doing this to pacify this situation, so it won't be a problem for me in the future. So I think if you apply this principle, you just look what is advantageous for bhakti? And you always ask that question in every situation. What will help bhakti? And then you'll know what to do. Just like in the early days of the movement, when the Indian boys would join, it was a huge problem with the parents. So then in Chaupati, they established this principle that you can't join until you graduate, until you can give the parents sufficient income, which they were expecting that you would give. And it pacifies that situation so there won't be a disturbance in the future. So it's the same principle. And you might say, but I want to join, I want to join now, I want to drop out of college. You say, no, but it will create a huge problem. Your parents paid all this money. You need to work, pay them back, if that's what they request or desire, and then you can join. So, I think that answers your question also. It's the same kind of question. But I like what he said. We're a part of Krishna, but never apart from Krishna. I'll tell you a story about that. There was a lady, she's from India, and she went to Africa as a doctor for the UN. And she said it was really hard there, and there's a lot of poverty and suffering, and she couldn't take it. And so she wanted to come back to India. And one day she was walking, and she saw a matchbox, and it had a picture of Krishna on it. And somehow that changed her mentality, and she felt Krishna wanted her to stay. It was like a transformation in her heart. And she wrote me, and she said, Krishna is never more than one thought away from us. So like in answering your question, sometimes we're in Maya and we don't even know what to do. Well, why don't you just think of Krishna? That's like the last thing on our mind is to think of Krishna, when we're in Maya. But Krishna's only a thought away. Isn't that? I think we should end on that thought. Krishna's only one thought away, and he's also only one mantra away. Right? He's always accessible. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So maybe we'll come back. I shouldn't say maybe. We will come back, and then we can.
Season.
Grape season. Oh yeah. Then I'll get drunk on grapes. I'd like to fast on grapes. It's healthy. It'd be a good time to do it. I want to come back and do a workshop. We can do japa or forgiveness or humility, but that's Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, all day. And then these questions I won't just answer, but I'll give you exercises by which you'll understand the answer for your life. That's what the workshop is. I don't talk all the time in the workshop. You do as much or more talking than I do, because you do the work of discovering the problem and the solution. The answer I gave you in the workshop, I would have helped you discover that answer, and you would have come up with it without me having to say it. And it's even better, it's more powerful if you come up with it. So we'll arrange that if Krishna wants. If Radha, Madan, Gopal want, then nobody can stop them. Right? Okay. Thank you very much. I was very happy to be here with all of you, and you're very enthusiastic. You made me very enthusiastic. I like your dancing and chanting. You have so many good kirtaniers here, kirtaniyas. So keep up the good work. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gopemanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
His Grace Mahatma Prabhu ki. So we are very thankful. Prabhuji given so much guidance, time and his valuable experience for all of us. So we will thank him by loudly 3 times chanting, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
I had a bead bag here, and I don't see it. Does anybody know where it went? Bead bag. It's kind of light brown. No, I just put it here before class. Or before Damodar Ashtaka, I put it here. Maybe I left it in the... maybe I left it in the ashram. No? Or in the ashram. I thought I put it here. Maybe I left it in the ashram. So, when can I get it? All the recordings.